I love a championship showdown, and boy, are you going to get one. It's EUROCUP-3, we're at the Circuit de Catalunya, and with 2 races left in the championship, we have got ourselves an exciting battle to conclude the season. This first race is going to be an interesting one. We thought that Javier Sagrera might have a chance to win the championship today, but certainly Christian Ho, his main championship opposition, is going to try and change that a little bit today. Second on the grid for him, alongside Emerson Fittipaldi Jr., who grabs pole position in qualifying. And I'm sure his father, Emerson, who is in the pit lane, cheering on his boy, will be so proud of what he has achieved. Nikita Bedra in 3rd position from Owen Tangavelu. Jessica Cascado 5th on the grid from Bruno Del Pino. Then Javier Sagrera down into 7th on the grid for this one. Could be fascinating to see how it all progresses. Valentin Klus 8th on the grid from Georgi Żurawski and Michael Shin. Then Alex Abgasava and Mari Boya, the ex-Formula 3 driver, returning into the world of EuroCup-3 for this event. Then Daniel Nogales from Diego de la Torre. Then it is Stack, Lagaye, Blokina and Noah Lyle from Isaac Barashi and Luciano Morano. Matteo Quintarelli and Theodor Jensen from Emil Helberg, Garrett Berry, Emile de Heus, who is sadly not starting the race, and then Preston Lambert and Linus Helberg. Emily de Heus apparently has a slight eye issue that's causing her some irritation, so hopefully they'll be able to sort that overnight and she'll be able to get back into the car tomorrow. But the battle is going to be raging. 30 minutes plus 1 lap here at the Barcelona Circuit de Catalunya, home of Spanish Formula 1 racing since 1991. If Christian Ho can finish 2nd with Sagrera back in 7th, then the championship fight in EuroCup-3 can go to tomorrow's finale. It's going to be lights out and racing at Catalunya. Let's race! Good start from Emerson Fittipaldi Jr. He's got a good launch, but Christian Ho is having a bit of a difficult one as they charge down to the first corner. Look at Bruno Del Pino trying to charge his way back into contention as Tangavelu and Sagrera are going to be in the mix there as well, down to turn 1. And it's going to be 3 widers right round the outside. A very brave Nikita Bedra tries to put himself into the vanguard of the fight, and he runs round the outside, goes off to the escape route, and is now going to be charging his way forward to try and gain a little bit more momentum. But a fascinating battle in this one is already under fever pitch conditions. It's Fittipaldi from Ho, Bedra, Del Pino, Cascado and Sagrera ahead of the Vietnamese driver Owen Tangavelu, being crowded out down to the braking zone as Tangavelu now tries to go right round the inside line of Sagrera. Sagrera holds it round the outside and keeps his position. Now he's going to go to battle with Jessica Cascado. So Mari Boyer has got ahead of Żurawski. Victoria Blokina has done a great job in this one so far. She's worked her way into 13th place ahead of Diego de la Torre. And Valentin Klus getting ahead of Noah Lyle initially. So some very good performances so far. But it's definitely going to be a tall order to see how this one phases out. Certainly a good start from Sagrera up into P6, trying to work his magic here on Jessica Cascado. And the Mexican, of course, took that fabulous victory at Portimao earlier in the year. Took that fantastic win at Aragon earlier in the year, I should say. Doing a fine job to try and fend off from Javier Sagrera, championship contender. Christian Ho really utilising this opportunity though. A 2nd place would definitely put him a bit higher. 220 points if it stays like this. Javier Sagrera looking good for a 6th position finish if it stays where he is, and that will put him on 236. So that will definitely decrease the championship lead that he has, 26 points currently, and that would drop the gap down to the 16 points if it were to stay like this. So very important that Sagrera tries to make as much progress as he possibly can. The championship lead won't be cut in half, but it will certainly go to tomorrow. A 26-point lead with only, a 21-point advantage, 22 points available tomorrow. If Sagrera finishes ahead of Christian Ho, he is the champion no matter what happens. But Christian Ho is currently 2nd and Sagrera is currently P6. So that would mean the championship would go on to tomorrow if it stays as it currently is. So some good battles all the way around the course. But Fittipaldi leads the way. Ho in 2nd, Bedrin in 3rd. From Del Pino, Cascado, Sagrera, Tangavelu, Shin, Abgasava, Nogales, Boya, Żurawski, Klus, Blokina and Lyle. Already some good battles. Matteo Quintarelli, who steps up into the Santalok EuroCup-3 car this weekend. He was in F4, of course, and has made his EUROCUP-3 debut this time out in much the same way that we saw from Ivan David earlier in the season. He had a go in EUROCUP-3, and now it's Matteo Quintarelli's turn to do the same. But Christian Ho is doing everything he needs to keep the championship dream alive, just following in the wheel tracks of Emmo Fittipaldi. Emmo's doing a good job here in the lead. The son of the two-time Formula One world champion Emerson Fittipaldi, won the title in 72 and 74, and of course won the Indy 500 as well. Emmo Jr. is doing his best to continue his charge forward. Christian Ho, leading rookie and leading championship contender as well. P2 for him at the moment. And Nikita Bedrin is in third position, having taken the escape route on the first chicane, and he has not conceded positions, interestingly. Now, I thought he would have had to give those positions back again, because he's essentially gained a position by going round the outside off the racetrack. So for the moment, Nikita Bedrin has got some explaining to do a little bit later. But for the moment, at least, he runs in third ahead of Del Pino, Carrasquedo, Segrera in P6. That's going to put him on 8 points for the championship, with Christian Ho set to be on 18. But he also sets the fastest lap, so that's going to put him on 19, because you get the bonus point for getting a fastest lap in this championship. So that will drop the gap down to 15 points if Christian Ho is able to hold on to the fastest lap of the race and Segrera doesn't gain any more positions than this. So just one car out of the race, although it's a car that didn't start. Emilio de Geus just complaining of a slight eye irritation, and obviously that's one of the organs that you definitely need to be in tip-top shape to go into a race. So Emilio de Geus sitting out on advice from the team and the doctors. Hopefully she'll be back in the season finale tomorrow. Christian Ho goes across the line again, just trying to keep Emerson Fittipaldi Jr. in his sights. Bedrin and Del Pino fighting for third position. Bruno Del Pino, of course, has a vague outside shot of winning this championship. At least he did coming into the weekend. Qualifying sorted that out. But he would dearly love to end the season on a high note himself. So watch for him trying to get into third position ahead of Nikita Bedrin. Carrasquedo, a much stronger end to the season than a start to the season for Carrasquedo. Certainly looking a little bit more flexible in terms of point scoring opportunities at this tail end of the season. Segrera in P6, Tagavelu in 7th, and Michael Shin, the Korean driver, doing a very fair job here in 8th position, ahead of Alexander Kastava, who got that monstrous victory at Portimao earlier in the season. And then Daniel Nogales in 10th position, just one place ahead of Mari Boyer. Proof that just because you race in Formula 3 and you can win in Formula 3, it doesn't mean you're going to come into EUROCUP-3 and dominate. Well, a bit of a difficult job for Christian Ho now, because Emerson Fittipaldi Jr. has taken back the fastest lap away from the Campos driver. But that's how Emerson Fittipaldi Jr. can play his part in the championship fight for Javier Segrera. He can take a bonus point away from Christian Ho. So it will be a fascinating situation. And the competitors are still looking forward to a really good continuation. Of course, this is going to be the last race weekend in EUROCUP-3. And of course, we're going to be then heading to the Winter Series, which will take place at the Circuito de Jerez, and then the Algarve International Circuit in Portimao, and the Circuito de Navarra in the early part of the season. A championship that spans just 5 weeks in February and March of next year. Fittipaldi, Bedrin, Del Pino in front of Carrasquedo. Segrera in P6, but not really gaining enough time on the Campos car in front of him to really be a serious threat in this one. But he doesn't need to panic. The last thing he needs to do now is let this get to him. 5th position will still do nicely. Can still give himself a really good situation if he just takes it nice and easy. Fittipaldi, Ho, Bedrin, Del Pino, Carrasquedo. That's the top 5 at the moment. Christian Ho is the leading rookie. Then it's Valentin Klus ahead of Georgi Żurawski. Victoria Blokina is actually next up. Very good to see Victoria Blokina going so much quicker this weekend than we have seen in previous events. Everett Stack is there just behind her in 15th place. Then Noah Lyle, Isaac Barashi, Garrett Berry, Theodor Jensen, Diego de la Torre, and then Gaspar Lagaye from Luciano Morano, Linus Hellberg, Preston Lambert, Emil Hellberg, and Matteo Quintarelli. Still making his debut in EuroCup-3, of course, the young man who lives in the United Arab Emirates. Family is of Italian descent, but they live just down the road, actually, from Yvan David, ironically enough, in Dubai. Teammates at Santalok this year. And just round the corner from them, would you believe, just about another 15 minutes drive on the Palm Jumeirah, is young Kiano Al-Azari, who's just come away from finishing second in race 1 in the F4 Spanish Championship. And they all live almost within a stone's throw of each other in the city of Dubai. Christian Ho, though, starting to put Emo Fittipaldi Jr. under a bit of pressure now. The gap has come down to 9/10 of a second. So it's not done and dusted yet by any means. But once again, in EuroCup-3, despite how exciting the start was, the attrition rate is not very difficult to cope with at the moment in EuroCup-3. So everybody just keeping themselves to themselves. We've had quite a few races this year which have been lights out to the checkered flag without interruption. So I wonder if we're going to get that again this weekend. Certainly in this first race, it's going well. 20 minutes plus the additional lap at the end of it to go. But Fittipaldi and Ho are just in a completely different class. The Brazilian driver, Emo Fittipaldi, and the Singaporean, Christian Ho, who's already confirmed that he's going to be racing in the FIA Formula 3 Championship next year. Not a bad run at form, considering he's steeled the Rookie Championship in EuroCup-3. He'll become the first Singaporean full-time driver ever in the FIA Formula 3 Championship in its current iteration. I don't think he's going to be the first driver ever from Singapore to compete at international Formula 3 level. But certainly in the current rankings, in the current state of play, it's definitely been a strong situation for him as he continues on his way. So Christian Ho having a really great race of it at the moment. Of course, if we want to talk about a driver who has raced in that paddock from Singapore, of course, Christian Ho will not be the first Singaporean to have done that. He will be the first in FIA Formula 3 in its current iteration. But in GP3 back in the day, they actually had a race winner from Singapore, namely Melville McKee. Very talented racing driver. Did a great job up to GP3 level, and then sadly the money ran out for him. But I can remember very clearly talking about him at the Nürburgring 11 years ago. When I was a commentator in GP3 back in the day. I feel old now. Emo Fittipaldi doing a great job with Christian Ho in second place. Nikita Bedra in third from Bruno Del Pino and Jessica Desquedo. Javier Segurera P6 in front of Tangavelu, Michael Shin, Alex Abkasava and Daniel Nogales. Then Valentin Klus, Mari Boya, Georgia Zhidavsky and Victoria Blokina ahead of Everett Stack and Noah Lyle. Now, there is Javier Segurera, champion in waiting. Currently trying to push in a little bit harder to the guys in front. As we look at Fittipaldi and Ho now, they've managed to pull quite a considerable gap on the rest of the field, it has to be said. 4.6 seconds now between Fittipaldi and Bedrin in third. Still a little surprised that nothing has been said about Nikita Bedrin's first corner antics. They clearly felt that it was okay and didn't need to be reflected on. There's no investigation into it. And there is the Campos going through past the pits. That's the Santalok having a very good race of it at the moment. That is Alex Abkasava in front of Dan Nogales. Some really good battles everywhere you look in this field. We watch the Santalok, the number 99, Daniel Nogales, trying to give himself the best possible chance heading into the remainder of the weekend, but under some pressure now, of course, to make it stick. Battling his teammate Alex Abkasava. Leading drivers in each team. Fittipaldi Jr. obviously leads the MP charge. Christian Ho, the leading driver for Campos. Bedrin doing a good job for Pridex in third. 3 different teams in the top 3 places. The leading driver for Santalok now is Alex Abkasava. The leading driver for DRS is Marty Boyer. 12th position now behind Valentin Klus. The leading driver for Below is actually Everett Stack. I did half wonder if Alex Below was actually here this weekend. I don't think there's any IMSA duty this weekend. There certainly isn't until next week, as far as I'm concerned. As far as I'm aware. I'm fairly sure that Alex Below, the 2-time IndyCar champion, is in the paddock this weekend, looking after his team. So good performance from all of the contenders as they motor on. Look at these scenes in the Drivex crew, looking good for a podium finish. They obviously picked up some victories in F4 Spanish this year with Juan Cota. But can they get the job done and get a podium finish in EUROCUP-3? Been slim pickings for them this year. But Nikita Bedrin certainly looking good for a potential podium finish. So as Mark Tucker points out, this is a modified Formula Regional car. So why does the chassis produce such poor racing, he says? Poor racing is a little bit harsh. Over the course of this season, there's been some mighty fantastic races. What you've got to remember is that this particular circuit is not the best in terms of wheel-to-wheel action and drama. Even in Formula One, it can be said that the Catalonia circuit is not exactly the most exciting and riveting on the circuit. But when you see some of the other race circuits that we've been to over the course of this year, we've seen some magnificent racing. At Spa, we had a shortened weekend, of course, and we had some great racing at both Portimao and Zandvoort earlier in the year. 5-second penalties for track limits. Right, this could be what's the undoing for several drivers in the field. But we've got confirmation of it for 2 cars, and one of them is Nikita Bedrin, I do believe. So I think that's Nikita Bedrin picking up a penalty for track limits. The other one is the number 20. Not quite as dramatic. That is Gaspar Lagaye, his Drivex teammate, ironically enough. But certainly for Nikita Bedrin, the man who is currently in 3rd position, it looks like they've lost the podium anyway. As into the pits to retire comes Matteo Quintarelli on his EuroCup-3 debut. Not quite what he wanted from this weekend, stepping out of F4 Spanish into the EuroCup-3 car. Hasn't really given him what he was hoping for. As now we join the battle for 3rd. Nikita Bedrin no longer in 3rd position, of course, because we now know that he's got a 5-second penalty. So it should be some really interesting racing from Delpino, Cadasquedo and Sagrera. That's significant as far as the championship is concerned as well, because Bedrin picking up a penalty, that's actually going to drop him out of the top 5, as Sagrera is going to be promoted into 5th position. Right, Christian Ho has been building up to his run at Emo Fittipaldi. Little bit of time management needed to keep him pushing on, but obviously you've got to be careful how much you look after the tyres as well as how hard you push. It's a bit of a balancing act, but Christian Ho seems to have found a little bit more pace than Emo Fittipaldi in the last couple of laps. So Christian Ho having another go at Emo. So let's see if he continues on. Fabulous to watch the Red Bull Junior youngster Enzo Deligny watching along on the stream. And he's pointing out that his friend Emo is in God mode. These friendships that have started between these drivers in different championships from the karting days. Enzo Deligny and Emo Fittipaldi Jr. have been friends for a long, long time. And it's great to see that his good friend Enzo, managed, of course, as he is by Lorenzo Travisanuto, the 2-time karting world champion, is keeping his eyes firmly fixed on this race. And Emo Fittipaldi Jr., his good friend, out in front of Christian Ho, the Singaporean. Nikita Bedrin 3rd, although he's got a 5-second penalty for track limits. So that means that Delpino is actually looking good for a podium finish here, ahead of Jessica Cadasquedo and Javier Sagrera, looking good for 5th. Here we go, down to the first corner. Bit of a battle towards us as Daniel Nogales tries to fend off from Valentin Klursk. Can the Campos driver go right round the outside? He can! The German gets it done just as we switch to the leading battle, which has not changed. Unfortunately, we just spotted that Valentin Klursk did get ahead of that Nogales in the stance lock just in the nick of time. So excellent performances then. So good battles continuing on. He's not the only driver watching the feed, by the way, Enzo Deligny. He's not the only one watching along. I noticed that Andrea Dup, the French driver, is also watching along, or as we used to know him in karting, Super Dup. So Christian Ho in behind Emo Fittipaldi Jr. to the left hand. Both drivers making a bit of an error there, just going a little bit further wide than they would have liked to. Tucking back in for the right hander. Not easy to keep these cars on the straight and narrow. They're very fiddly racing cars, very stiff compared to the F4 before them, by the way. And as Mark Tucker rightly pointed out, they are pretty much exactly the same car as the Formula Regional. It's just a different aerodynamic package, and it's a cheaper budget for the season, but it's a good alternative for the competitors, for those who don't quite have the budget to go and do an FIA Formula Regional European by Alpine season campaign. EUROCUP-3 just giving them a slightly different alternative, but effectively driving in the same car with a different body kit. Fittipaldi ahead of Christian Ho. MP versus Campos, Brazil versus Singapore. Emo Fittipaldi versus Christian Ho. It would be great news if Emo Fittipaldi could continue on his magnificent season of ups and downs with a race victory. Certainly worked hard enough to get there this year. He's had a strong season as Emo Fittipaldi Jr. It's not quite been as spectacular as he would have liked it to be. His best result so far is a second place finish, race 2 at Aragon. But if Emo Fittipaldi Jr. can hang on to this and take his first win of the season, that would be a great end to the year. And I'm sure that his father Emerson, who is in the paddock this weekend, will be so delighted to see his boy get the job done. Marty Boyer has now got ahead of Daniel Nogales, by the way, up into 11th position ahead of the Santalog of Daniel Nogales as the EUROCUP-3 Championship continues. These two single-season championships, F4 Spain and EUROCUP-3, of course, based largely in Spain. We have the Spanish Championship based solely pretty much in Spain. But obviously, here in EUROCUP-3, Spain being the base of this championship, there's been a lot of hard tributes handed over to the people of Valencia after the tragic incidents of the DANA event. A lot of fundraising coming from this paddock as well, crowdfunding on the F4 Spanish Championship and EUROCUP-3 social feeds. If you want to give generously, please do. And we are also using the hashtag this weekend, Fuerza Valencia. Please keep that going. As much as the racing continues and the show must go on in Spanish motorsport, obviously those people are very much in our thoughts. And Dan Nogales is coming to the pits. Right, so that's two Santalogs in trouble. So Dan Nogales is tumbling down the field, having come into the pits. So there's definitely something not right with the blue, white and black cars. As first Matteo Quintarelli and now Daniel Nogales goes into the pits and drops to the back of the field. So that's very unfortunate. At least that gives us a bit of an understanding as to why Daniel Nogales was suddenly dropping from pace. Clearly more and more problems building up in that car. As Bruno Del Pino is only 10 points away from the tally of Christian Ho, so mathematically going into this race, he still has a chance to be champion in third position, but he's going to be 3 points less in terms of tally than Christian Ho. Christian Ho is going to be ahead of Del Pino, who will be promoted to third when Bedrin gets his 5-second penalty for track limits. Trying to do the quick calculations. Will it still be a three-man battle for the championship going into tomorrow? Because Segurera is going to be promoted up to 5th place. That's going to be enough for 10 points compared to 18 for Christian Ho and 15 it will be for Bruno Del Pino. So Del Pino will gain 5 on Segurera. Ho will gain 8. So just trying to do the math as good as possible while we're still in race mode. Not easy to do the maths at the same time. The gap was 26 points between Christian Ho and Javier Segurera. It was 36 points between Segurera and Del Pino. So as much as Del Pino will gain 5 points on Javier Segurera, sorry, he needs to gain a lot more than that to keep the championship hopes alive. So even a third place for Del Pino will not keep his championship hopes intact. I think he'll just miss out, actually. The gap will go down from 36 points to 31 if it stays like this, and there are only going to be 27 points available tomorrow. So, unfortunately, even though Bruno Del Pino is looking likely to inherit a podium finish, it's not going to be enough for him to keep his championship dreams on hold. So he's got to hope for something a little bit more dramatic than that to finish off his season. But drama is something that Bruno Del Pino, A, dishes out well, and B, has very much been a victim of in the past. Jordi van der Bunt just pointing out that, yes, indeed, if it stays like this, Del Pino will not be in the championship fight, and that's a retirement. That is Linus Hellberg. So Linus Hellberg sadly out of the race for the DXR team. So that puts him on the retirements list. So it really is going to be very tight indeed. But yes, if it stays like this, Javier Segreira will go on to 238 points, while Christian Ho will be on to, I'm trying to do the math very quickly in my head, 18 points for Christian Ho in this race will put him up to 230. But it'll be not quite enough for Del Pino on 207. So it'll be tough stuff. Javier Segreira will still lead the championship if it stays like this. The top 5 finish will be enough for Segreira. But Christian Ho in the last 6 minutes wants another crack at Emo Fittipaldi. So let's see if that can come to pass for him. He doesn't have to lead every lap of the race. He only has to lead the last one. And Emo Fittipaldi Jr. is working very hard indeed with a car that's had its difficulties over the course of the season. He's not quite been in perfect position all the way through. Yellow flags. Yellow flags. There's been a spin somewhere. But it's withdrawn very quickly indeed. So I think just a quick hiccup rather than a big incident. So it'll be a really interesting situation then for the competitors. So it's going to be an interesting one. Let's not forget, of course, that Pedrin, Goya and Everett Stack are guest drivers and cannot technically score championship points anyway. And that means that Victoria Popina is actually now going to be effectively 11th position, 1 place away from scoring a championship point. 5 minutes to go. Look at Christian Ho. He's really stepping up the attack on Emo Fittipaldi Jr. now. All he needs is one good run. And he's swarming around behind Fittipaldi Jr., trying to force the Brazilian to make the error. Not going to be so easy to do. Fittipaldi Jr. is a very talented man. He's been racing all over single-seaters over the last couple of seasons. Been racing avidly in Formula 4 and in Formula Regional, both in Europe and the Middle East. They're doing a great job here in EUROCUP-3 to hang on for what looks like it could be a victory. He runs out very wide from turn 4, but that's enough to cut across on Christian Ho on the exit. Ho has a dive up the inside. Fittipaldi moves across to cover the line and holds it for the moment. But it's really going to be an exciting one for Christian Ho. He knows that he can do a lot of damage in the championship fight if he can get ahead of Emo Fittipaldi Jr. Pedrin will get a 5-second time penalty and be demoted out of the top 5. Segreira will be promoted to 5th place and 10 championship points. But if Christian Ho can get ahead, he'll gain another 7 on the Spaniard in P5. Everything is resting on this move from Christian Ho. If he can get ahead of Emo Fittipaldi Jr., he can really turn the tide in the championship fight. But overtaking is a tough business in single-seater feeder racing, particularly in EuroCup-3, particularly here at Catalonia. And there's a black flag for car number 20, so that is a black flag for Gaspar Gaye. He has been too abusive of track limits, so he's now getting the black flag. Here we go, though. Christian Ho's got a run on Fittipaldi Jr. Down in the first corner. He needs to take the gamble. He will slingshot, and Christian Ho charges forward ahead of Fittipaldi Jr., who runs wide on the escape road. Christian Ho can commit to it, but Fittipaldi Jr. surely has got to give him the space. Christian Ho fighting for the championship, side by side with Emo Fittipaldi Jr. And the MP stays in front. Christian Ho is going to attack him again. Oh, now we're going to get some conversations on the pit wall. Christian Ho will say, look, I had him. I was up the inside line, and he's taking the escape road to keep the lead of the race. Emo Fittipaldi Jr. will say, no chance. I had that lead. You were not far enough alongside. It's going to be a fascinating debate as to who wins out in that one. But that shows you just how determined Christian Ho is to win this race. He will not take second position lying down. They'll have to do it all again. Ho will be in range, but now we know he's going to have to go full send if he wants to take 7 more points out of Javier Segreira's championship assault anyway. But Christian Ho is leaving nothing on the table. He's got to go full burn. He has to go full send. Now, what will the stewards say about Fittipaldi Jr. holding on to the lead around the outside? If they order him to give the place back, then Christian Ho will take 7 more points out of Javier Segreira's lead, and then we really have got a showdown tomorrow. That's how important this is. But Emo is staying cool as ice. Excellent stuff in the lead of the race here. 2 minutes to go. Still 3 more laps by my maths. Christian Ho's got to do all that hard work to get onto the Fittipaldi Junior again. Well clear of their rivals. This is such a good run from both drivers. Christian Ho fighting to keep the championship in his sights. Emerson Fittipaldi Jr. wants to win his first race in 2024. And with his father in the pits, it's been 50 years since he last won the Formula One World Championship. And now he's watching his son fight for victory here at Catalonia, at the home of Formula One in Spain. Okay, left on the incline, right. Very steep uphill, this part of the course. It doesn't really show you how steep it is on television, but it is a big incline. And now they drop down the hill. Christian Ho still trying to put Fittipaldi under pressure, but has he given it the one big chance he's going to get in this race? Will he get another chance to go for the lead? You would certainly think somebody with the composure and the speed and the agility of Christian Ho will get another crack at Fittipaldi Jr., but that might just have been the wake-up call the Brazilian needed. Get back on the power, back on the pace. Don't forget, Christian Ho is not the fastest man of the race. It is Emo Fittipaldi Jr. He's got the fastest lap, and we are just 2 laps away from a slam dunk victory for Emo Fittipaldi Jr. Pole position, fastest lap, led every lap, win the race. So can Emo Fittipaldi Jr. get a EUROCUP-3 Grand Slam? We call it the Grand Slam when a driver has gone from pole position to lead every lap of the race, set the fastest lap and win it. Doesn't happen very often in motor racing, but with 5 seconds left, 3, 2, 1, we are now on the penultimate lap. Whatever happens here, so Emo Fittipaldi Jr. has got to hold off Christian Ho, and not only hold him off, he's actually pulled a second on him. He's actually managed to pull out a bit of a gap now on Christian Ho, and that's going to add more fuel to the fire of should I have let him go through again, because now he's picked up the pace. Now he's found another second on Christian Ho, and I don't think Ho's going to get another shot. So Emerson Fittipaldi Jr. hanging on to the lead from Christian Ho and extending the gap by a second. Nikita Bedrin, of course, has a 5-second track limits penalty. He's not going to get the 3rd position where he's currently on, but it's certainly looking very strong indeed for Emo Fittipaldi Jr. to take his first win of the season. Christian Ho in 2nd place, Nikita Bedrin in a very strong 3rd. He's going to get a penalty yet added to his times. Was very delighted to have a quick conversation with Emerson Fittipaldi Sr. a short while before these races. He did an absolutely fantastic job of masterminding his young son in terms of his mindset over the last few races. But Emo Fittipaldi is on the last lap here at Catalonia, at Montmeló, just a few miles out of the capital city, the Olympic city of Barcelona. And Christian Ho is on the march to 2nd place. If he stays in P2, he'll gain just 8 points on Javier Stigrera. If he can get ahead of Fittipaldi Jr., he'll gain another 7. That's why it was so important for Christian Ho to get ahead, but he was not able to finish the job. Emo Fittipaldi Jr. is going to hang on for the victory here, ahead of Christian Ho, unless the Singaporean can find a little bit more than a second in the closing 2 sectors of the lap. You can argue to the cows come home whether Fittipaldi Jr. needed to move over and let Christian Ho back in front. But as far as he was concerned, he's still the rightful leader of this race, and he's going to bring it through. The Brazilian youngster, teenage son of the 2-time Formula One World Champion and Indy 500 winner, Emerson Fittipaldi, is now going to come through in his own right, having had a very topsy-turvy season. There's been hardship, there's been great runs, there's been podium finishes, but there's not been a win until right here, right now. Emo Fittipaldi Jr. will come out of the final 2 corners. The MP driver has driven with conviction throughout. Pole position, fastest lap, led every lap. Now he'll take the victory. Emo Fittipaldi wins at Catalonia, the first race of the weekend. The championship fight goes on to tomorrow as Christian Ho grabs 2nd position. Bedrin will be 3rd across the line, but the 5-second time penalty will be added. Del Pino will be third, Carrasquedo will be fourth, Bedrin will be fifth, but Sagrera will be promoted to the fifth place points as Bedrin is a guest driver and cannot score. So Sagrera will technically finish P5 on points. And that means that 8 points is the deficit that's been taken out of the lead by Christian Ho. And I'm afraid to say that even a third position finish for Bruno Del Pino will not keep his championship hopes alive. And so, just as in the F4 Spanish Championship race earlier, now there are just 2 title contenders left. But Emo Fittipaldi has done what he set out to do. He has become a race winner in EUROCUP-3, and valiantly so. What a drive from lights to flag. For once, nothing went wrong for Emo Fittipaldi. No car mishaps, no crashes from other drivers, no miscalculations, no setup defects, no mechanical gremlins. Emo was just allowed to run away at the front and go for the win. Excellent work. So now Emo Fittipaldi becomes the next different race winner in EuroCup-3 this year, ahead of Christian Ho, who will take the title fight into tomorrow. Now, it wouldn't shock me if there was an investigation into the incident between Emo Fittipaldi and Christian Ho, but certainly nothing's been said about it yet. Expect Campos to have a conversation about it. We may get some news post-race. Keep an eye on the social media channels for EuroCup-3, that's all I'm saying. But certainly for the time being, Emo Fittipaldi can soak up the moment, and it will be a jubilant Emo Fittipaldi that comes back into pit lane. As we mentioned at the top of the bill, there will be no podium ceremonies this weekend, as there are still very somber faces and very heartfelt tragedies towards the DNA incident in Valencia. So there are no podium ceremonies this weekend. It's still a very somber time in Spain, but there are crowdfundings and there are efforts to try and assist the people of Valencia. It wasn't that long ago that we were racing at Valencia, of course, in both EuroCup-3 and the F4 Spanish Championship. So do please donate via the link in our Instagram pages on both the EuroCup-3 and the F4 Spanish Championship. Your help is so invaluable. So many people affected by the tragic incidents. But what a result for Emo Fittipaldi, and a great performance from him. A victory. Definitely spicing things up in the championship fight, though. Christian Ho coming through for second place and the rookie win, with Javier Sagrera likely to only be classified P5. There goes Emo Fittipaldi out of the car. He climbs the cockpit. What a result. And I have a feeling that one of the next pictures we're likely to see is of young Emo embracing Emerson Senior. I'm sure he'll be down there to greet his young son, having done a fantastic job. Expect some emotional scenes here as Emo Fittipaldi is just taking it in. There he is with his MP mechanics. We did it. We got the win. There are still some somber faces, though, of course. The mood is still very low after the recent events. Emerson Fittipaldi Jr. comes home for the victory ahead of Christian Ho by a second. Bruno Del Pino third ahead of Jesse Carrasquedo. Nikita Bedrin, guest driver P5. Javier Sagrera sixth behind Bedrin, but should get the fifth place points. Tagavelu, Abkasava, Michael Shin, and Valentin Klus in the top 10. Then Georgia Shadavsky in front of Victoria Blakina, Noah Lyle and Everett Stack ahead of Marty Boyer, Isaac Barashi, Luciano Morano, Garrett Berry, Theodor Jensen, and Diego Della Torre. Behind them, it'll be Preston Lambert and Emil Hellberg. And then all the retirements. Gaspard Lagaye, who was black flagged for his transgression of track limits. Then we had Linus Hellberg, as well as Daniel Nogales and Matteo Quintarelli. Emilio de Jesus of GRS did not start. Very exciting race then in EuroCup-3. As we mentioned before, there will be no podium ceremonies this weekend, but what a fantastic race battle it was for Emo Fittipaldi Jr.
Congratulations, first win of the championship.
Well, I thought we were going to have a listen there for our podium ceremony victory, our podium interview there with our leading driver. Not on this occasion, unfortunately, but Emo Fittipaldi should be the man who holds on to the victory. If there are any updates, do follow along on the Instagram feed overnight on EuroCup-3's official blog. But the championship fight will go to the wire tomorrow with one more race left in the EuroCup-3 championship fight. And it's going to be Javier Sagrera versus Christian Ho. Hope you enjoyed this one. There's one more to go. From me, Jake Sanson, and the whole team, thank you very much indeed for watching here at the Circuit de Catalunya. The Championship Showdown will come tomorrow here in Barcelona. Hasta mañana.